What is going on, Sign family? This is the first ever episode of Rise in Signs. My name is Matthew Lavery, and this is my partner,
Joe Lupton. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining. Excited that you're able to join today, and we're going to start this little project.
Yeah, I think this is going to be. Good for everybody. I think starting this platform is going to be a good way for you and I and everybody else to start connecting during these times and moving forward. So I think this is a brilliant idea.
Yeah. So let's jump in. I don't know about you. I've had a lot of time to catch up on Netflix, something I don't always have the opportunity to do. So the first subject is more appropriate for you and your geographic location. So I started watching a series called Dirty Money.
Okay.
So
yeah, I've seen that on Netflix.
All right. So Canada has the world's maple syrup reserves. It sounded like a joke to me. I had no clue that it was that serious.
Yeah,
it is.
We take maple syrup pretty serious down here.
I do too. I just didn't know that there was reserves. So in watching this, right, it's like the entire economics of Canada is backed by maple syrup, right? It's not like gold or silver or oil. Maple syrup.
We have pulp, maple syrup, and a surplus of hockey pucks and hockey sticks. So
wait, pulp. What's pulp? What are you talking about?
Pulp, like to turn into paper. Everybody started talking about the crisis of the toilet paper, and everyone's going to run out of toilet paper. And meanwhile, we have a surplus upon surplus amounts of toilet paper in Canada. So we should be good through this crisis, even though it has nothing to do with your stomach. But
wow. Okay. So I want to know, did you watch the episode of the Dirty Money that I was talking about?
No, I haven't. I've been crashing into something called QB1. It's about high school quarterbacks. I've been watching something called Animal Kingdom, like a family of brothers that all like rob and steal to make money.
Sounds positive.
And that's pretty
Very
much
positive.
It. Yeah, the Animal Kingdom's actually pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. And if you like football, then the QB1 is actually a brilliant program.
I'm going to fearlessly dive into my ignorance here, all right, real quick. So what I have learned is that between 2011 and 2012, 3,000 tons of maple syrup was stolen from the reserve. 3,000 tons. And it's 18.7 million in I believe, Canadian currency.
Okay, so hold on. You heard about this fact, and then you made it a point to go do way more research to find out how viable this source was? We actually got robbed of our maple syrup?
Absolutely.
I've never heard of this.
3,000 tons.
What do you do with 3,000 tons of maple syrup?
So what I learned is that you guys have, in certain regions in Canada, the Federal Reserve in geographic regions, no one can sell their maple syrup. The reserve buys all the maple syrup in certain areas. And I think there's particular geographic regions that are further east that they don't have to sell to the reserve. But what happens is these people that go against the Federal Reserve of maple syrup sell into the black market, which sounds really shady, but legitimately, like anyone else outside of Canada, there's no maple syrup reserve federation that makes you sell. So it's a closed market. So what happens is these people that stole these barrels, and they're legitimately 55-gallon drums of maple syrup, which just sounds crazy. You know, you imagine a party where you're filling a pool with maple syrup, right? That would be interesting. But
sounds like a sticky situation to me.
Right, and delicious. It's a lot of waffles and pancakes. But these people, some people are against the reserve, some people are for it, right? But what happens is these people who stole it from the reserve, they just sold it on the quote-unquote black market. But all that happens is there's just distributors that work outside of the Federal Reserve of maple syrup. So it's like, it sounds really shady and dramatic, but anywhere else other than those particular geographic. And you know what? If anybody who's watching this in Canada can school us, we would love some feedback.
We would appreciate
after the conference
that.
too,
because
I'd love to learn more. I'm very curious. It's very interesting to me. But so what I'm hearing from you is you don't know much about the reserve.
To be honest, Joe, I know you're American and I'm Canadian, and I should be well versed and schooled on this. I have never heard of this before in 35 years.
Wow.
I didn't know it existed, but now I have no choice but to do more research myself because I want to find more about this. Maybe I'll start investing in some
Awesome.
maple syrup stocks down here.
Well, it's a pretty short watch, so maybe between now and next week, you can watch that episode on the maple
Deal.
syrup heist. We could do a synopsis, and then hopefully we don't drum up too much negative attention from our Canadian fellows. That I'm doing my best to do this justice. If we're wrong, school us. I would love to learn more. Matt definitely needs to learn more as a respectable Canadian citizen. So I think what we're going to do next is we're going to introduce Cody Chambers. So Cody is our guest here. Let's go ahead and bring him on screen, and I'll let him introduce himself and share his position and everything. So Cody, if you want to jump in.
You guys see me okay? What's going on? How are you guys doing?
You look amazing. Welcome, Cody.
So I'm Cody with Keystone Technologies. A surprising fact about me is I only buy my maple syrup on the black market. So I'm not familiar with the episode, but I am extremely familiar with black market maple syrup.
This guy bust out the black market maple syrup. Unbelievable. Hey, Cody, how's everything been for you down there? How are you keeping? How's the family?
It's going okay. I live in Nashville. I work for Keystone and cover the entire Eastern U.S. So the company's based in Philly, and I'm down here in Nashville, and we've been on a stay-at-home order for a couple of weeks now, and I'm probably taking social distancing as seriously as anybody. So, it's definitely a change of pace and a new way of living, man. But, I guess it gives us unique opportunities to do things like this we weren't really doing before. So if we're trying to take something positive away from it. So,
Cody, do you find, I know this is a little off topic, but it isn't. Do you find a lot of people in your neighborhood practicing this social distance?
I think so, man. I mean, you see a lot of people out taking walks and stuff in the evening, but I certainly not taking any chances, certainly less traffic out. I'm not really going to the grocery store. I'm having my stuff delivered. So, I mean, frankly, outside of walking around the neighborhood, I couldn't really tell you what's going on,
Yeah.
So Cody, when you get your groceries delivered, what do you do with your groceries once they show up?
So, I try to be as careful as I can, and this may sound a little crazy, but I have gloves. So I don't put anything on the counter. I bring them in, I put them on the floor inside the door, and then take everything individually and put it away, and then clean the floor and throw the gloves away. You can only do so much, right?
So well, maybe not. We got some groceries. We went out for the first time in 3 weeks, because ironically we stocked up. Like, I've got 3 boys, so we don't do like weekly grocery shopping. We stock up and we feed the monsters, right? We got to keep them at bay. So ironically, we stocked up just before all the stay-at-home orders and all that stuff popped up. But my wife looked up how long the virus can stay active on things, and went to some mom websites. No joke. Everything that was double packaged was opened. Everything that went into the fridge or into the pantry was wiped down with Clorox wipes before it went away. Like, it sounds a little nutty, right? It's absolutely laborious. Like, when I heard that was the plan, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, but Joe, that's what they're telling us to do. I mean, we're getting the same messages down here. You go grocery shopping, to wipe down all your packages, even if it's in a box, because they're saying the virus could stay on a surface for up to 72 hours, which is just wild to think about that. But that's crazy. Yeah. So I commend Cody and the family for doing that. I mean, you got to take the proper steps, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't be too careful right now, right?
I agree. I think it's just so different from what we've done in history and what we've ever experienced, in our lifetimes, right? It's just when you're just in the moment and not thinking about where we stand right now, it's very interesting. So I'm gonna shift topics real quick. One of the other things that Cody and I have went back and forth on a lot, like probably over 2 years maybe, is a pellet smoker, which I still haven't bought one because my brain keeps going back and forth. Cody's got a Traeger, right?
It's been at
And,
least 2 years that we've been discussing this. You're the most indecisive
right.
purchaser in history. Yeah.
I at the time of purchase, I want to acquire the most effective, most advanced piece of equipment that I can, so that when you don't get buyer's remorse. You hear about people that buy the iPhone whatever just before the iPhone 75 comes out, and they're spend $1,000 on the phone, and then they got it in their phone plan, and then they instantly double their phone. It's like, oh, I got to have the new phone, right? So I want to have a moment of time to build an emotional connection with the equipment before a new piece of equipment arrives, right? And then I'm like, man, if only I had that special clean out, if only I had the Wi-Fi connection and da. But here's what's interesting. All the things I wanted from Camp Chef showed up. Wi-Fi connection. It has the 36-inch setup, because I think before it was only a 24-inch setup, right? So a big enough that you can get, if you've got a party or something, you can feed enough people, smoke some brisket, smoke some pork butt. Pork butt's my favorite. And so I got to ask you, in your experience with the Traeger, would you go a different direction? Now, you've had it probably a year now.
Yeah, I think I got it. Well, like 4th of July, so close to a year, yeah.
And what's your feedback on that?
I love it, man. I mean, it took me a while to purchase it as well. I mean, you're talking to a guy that took 6 weeks to buy a backpack on research at one point. So I understand being indecisive when it comes to purchases. But, I mean, I love the thing, man. I use it for pretty much everything I would, I use it for, I baked cookies in it a couple of nights ago for the kids. And I do Well, so the way it works is it kind of can function as a convection oven as well, and it still brings in a little bit of the smoke, but it has a bunch of different settings, so you can use it really anything you'd want to do up to about 550 degrees. So I'm pretty happy with it. I know Joe is a crazy person and will not own a grill at this time next year. We'll still be talking about this, so
Hey, Joe,
I'm happy with it.
I know this isn't a good thing, but you probably hate me. In my condo policy around like the entire building, we're allowed to have no barbecues. We're allowed to have no flames on the balcony or anything like that. So, and I've been in my condo for going on 8 years. I've been going without barbecue. I know. I honestly felt like I needed to confess that, and I probably shouldn't confess that on a webinar. But I mean, it's not just me; it's everybody else in the building too. But you guys are here talking about smokers. I couldn't go do that on my balcony. No chance. Jeez.
I'm sorry, man. That's I'm pretty old school. I've been doing everything that I do on just a Weber kettle, everything. So like whether I'm smoking or whether I'm grilling, but here's when you get out of the condo, and Cody, chime in to add any of the things that I missed, since I physically don't own one, right? Like I've just been researching and watching reviews and things, right? So you can do what's called a reverse sear on a steak. So not a lot of people are great at grilling a steak. And what happens with the product I'm talking about is it comes with a sear box on the side. So you got this smoker, so slower cooking, you're infusing flavor, you choose your pellets, right? And then you got this sear box that's like 900 degrees or whatever, right? So what you do is you smoke the steak, get a really thick ribeye, right? Something like 2.5 inches thick. And you can put a thermometer in it and you cook it to the perfect degree, which would be like, I think that the number is like 112 degrees. Once you get done and rested, you're at medium rare right there, right? So you do that, and then you put it on the sear box. You got a perfect crust, but like 80 to 85% of the steak's medium rare. It's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
That was quite beautiful, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, Cody, off topic of this food, just because I'm not as familiar with you, I know we've met at shows in the past, and I know I've talked to many people who know who you are as well. Were you ever part of the ICA Elite program?
Yeah, I did it last year, actually.
Oh, so you were last year. How'd that go for you?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I knew a couple of the people going in, so I had a pretty good experience with probably half a dozen of the guys already. But it was awesome, man. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I look at it not in a way really what I got out in the past year, which was a lot, but one of those things where I intend on being in this industry for a long time. And as my career progresses, along with the people that I was in it in, it's interesting to think about the things we can collaborate on in the future. You know what I mean? So I think in that regard, it's got a tremendous amount of value. I know both you guys have done it as well, right?
I'm a big fan of the program. Big fan of the program.
You happen to be on the call with two goats right now for the
let's not get into the logistics of how that whole thing played out.
Listen, we had an entire nomination process. We nominated a president, vice president. We had a vice president get impeached. He had to step down. We had a new vice president that stepped in. It was a whole process.
It's easy to be a self-nominated goat, I think.
Yeah, okay. If that's the way your class wants to see it as, then you know what? By all means.
Whatever. I like to think Adam, we're all on a similar level.
Cody, one thing I always ask everybody, because it helps with me, and I know it helps with Joe, and it helps with a lot of people that are going to be viewing this in the future. If you had to take away one thing from the ISA Elite program that, I'm not going to say changed your career or helped your career, but give me one thing about that ISA Elite program that you walked away with that just made you feel empowered. One thing. Don't give me a whole list.
I would say the number one thing that I took away from it was learning leadership, the leadership qualities and the way that other people in leadership positions do things that I hadn't really thought about before. Yeah. So just some of the unique things that some of the, a lot of the guys are shop owners or own their own business and whatnot. So some of the ways that they incentivize employees or share the pride of the work that they do, those were things I was immediately able to do with my team, and kind of roll that into something from day one, getting back from being up there. So yeah, that was my biggest takeaway is just, obviously all of us spend time around a lot of people, but that was a setting we were kind of laser focused in on one thing and really just able to churn out some of those ideas that you don't always pick up just in a regular conversation.
Totally true. Totally true. I love it. That's a great response. Right?
Yeah.
What about you, Matt? How would you answer that question you just asked Cody?
You know what? Very similar. The one thing that I always came back and I talked about, I say highly about, was the sense of family. All of us being under 35 and we're all in our jobs, it's not every day that you get the ability to run into people that do the exact same thing that you do. It's one thing to be in your shop dynamic and, piggyback off somebody else or ask somebody else for advice, or even down your street if there's a shop and you know some guys down there and they're feeding you advice, but it's advice that's it's not really globally shared because they're in the same community as you. They may have the same perspectives on things. So I felt that being in the IC Elite class allowed me to surround myself with all these other people and all these problems or things that I want to know. I found it so much easier to ask them and to get back solutions from them. And then not only that, but it continued. So our conversations continued to go well past the class. That now I have like a database where we go on the phone and we have our group chats. And if I have an issue or a problem, I'm going on there. Hey guys, I'm having an issue with this in sales. Can you guys help me out? And I'm getting immediate responses, not just from random people, but people that I've actually intimately connected with. And they're considered signed family, which is why I always treat everybody with my whole what's going on signed family, because it very much feels like that. So ISA Elite program gave me a sense of family in the sign industry. So I took that the most out of everything.
Well, and I'll even take it a quick step further. And all of us were in different classes. And I don't think I've met every ISA Elite ever, but, I'm certainly aware of all of them. So, even though, I still feel the exact same thing you feel, not only with my own class, but with, the entire people that have been through the program as a whole. So, and as that grows every year, there's going to be a point where we've got, 1,000 of us just kind of roaming free at the trade show and going nuts. So
with that big badge of ISA Elite, because I also wear it like that too. To me, it was an accomplishment.
Oh, yeah.
And it was not even like a sense of pride, but you walk around with your head up when you walk to the shows. I know when the show gets full of 20,000 people, everyone's trying to be somebody at the show or be recognized or, have that rapport with the next vendor, the next trader. I know Joe's great at that because Joe walks around the show floor, and it seems like every 2 seconds somebody knows him, somebody knows what he does, who he does work for. Being ISA elite, it gives you that sense of pride when you walk through the show that you're accomplished, that you've done something that people recognize you for what you've contributed back to the association and to the industry. So I definitely wear it like a badge of honor.
Sure.
Well, on that subject, I think part of my belief in the core of that program and why I see it as so valuable is where I started. I got really comfortable with the idea of, living out my career in the sign market. I was blessed very early with a lot of opportunities to continue to grow and learn and do different things. So I was kind of okay being alone as a young person in the sign market, because being in sales, going and seeing sign fabricators, for the most part, you're seeing people that are at or above their 40s, because it's not a market that's really pulling in young people. So I'll quickly share my favorite part about the elite, in that I think it gives encouragement and hope to young people who are in the industry and might feel isolated or by themselves. Say, man, listen, the closest person in my age that I work with is 20 years older than me. Like, I don't want to be here. But then, you connect with other people. And I think that was my favorite part, is I was able to encourage and invest in other young people to say, listen, I think it's now 13 years I've been in the sign market. I love it. I think there's tons of opportunity. There's tons of room for improvement. And that was absolutely my favorite part, was to be able to meet and invest in other people that were just kind of like, yeah, I'm here. My uncle got me a job. My dad got me a job. I'm in college. I'm doing this. And I don't think a lot of people have realized how huge of an opportunity there is in the world that we work in and live in on the daily basis. So I love that part of it. I love that the ISA came up with that so that we can encourage that flow of young people into the industry.
Totally right. I know we're pushing on time right now because we were supposed to have somewhat of a short segment. When you get 3 people like us together, we could probably talk for hours.
Sure.
Cody, we don't have a lot of time. But while we still have you, first of all, want to thank you on behalf of Joe, myself, and the entire organization for being our guest today. Did you want to take a minute? Any closing remarks? Anything you want to say to fellow members, ISA, SAC members out there paying attention and watching?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you guys for taking the time to have me on. I appreciate the opportunity. I think this is it's a crazy world we live in right now, man. And if I could say anything to anybody out there, there's going to be good and bad things. We're not near the end of this road, but we're going to get through this together. Every single one of us. The sign industry, I've learned, is a family. I'm proud to be a part of it. I know both you guys are as well. And I fully expect that we're going to come out of this stronger than we ever were before, however long it takes. I tell everybody that, and I hope that we can all continue to embrace each other, continue to work hard through these times. Again, thank you guys for having me on.
Cody, really appreciate that, eh?
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for taking the time, bud.
All right, guys.
Have a good one,
Talk to you later.
Talk soon, eh?
Yep.
Joe, you got anything?
Yeah, well, I figure we can go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, I tend to make things, we'll set a time and it goes double the time. So I'll do my part and start to wrap things up here. So for those of you who've taken the time to watch our communication today, our goal and our effort is to start reaching people that we were normally reaching before, when we could go outside our houses and be within 6 feet of each other. We're gonna task all of our ISA elite comrades to help us share and promote this. And listen, if you're interested in being on and sharing and connecting with us, we'd love to have that. So thanks everyone for watching. And Matt, I'll hand it to you if you wanted to close up with everything.
The exact same thing that Joe said. This is something that we started off. I think this is a great idea. I think this is going to be great for the industry moving forward. It's a great way for us to connect. This is only the start, so we will get better at this. We won't always talk about food, and we'll jump onto some side
topics. Yes, we will.
Okay, we'll talk about
yes,
food.
We will.
But
every morning, 9 a.m.
Every Friday morning. That's what we're going to do. Is we're going to first talk about food, and then we'll talk about signs. But no, I encourage everybody out there that's watching, reach out to me, reach out to Ellen, Adam, Joe, pretty much any one of us, if you want to be part of this, if you want to participate, reach out to us. We'll fill you in, and we'll go from there. Other than that, everybody continue to please keep safe during these times. Look out for your loved ones, look out for your friends and family, and for the elderly, and just hang in there. We're all in this together, so we will overcome it together as well. So appreciate
Thanks,
you guys.
y'all. Be safe.
Sign family, this is our first episode of Horizon Signs with Joe Lupton and Matthew Lavery. So thank you everybody for watching. Been unreal. Have a blessed day.